Turning now to Mr. Barrett, you have the floor for 5 minutes.
PSPC Strategies does their business. They're a middleman, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Are you satisfied with the selection of GC Strategies with value for money for Canadians in mind? Are you satisfied?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I wouldn't be able to speak to the value for money because I did not observe the.
Well, you said that they're changing processes at PSPC. Are you changing the processes because they were really good before and you want to make them worse? Or were they not good before and you're making them better?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As obviously we've had 2 reports, the one from the Office of the Procurement Ombudsman, one from the Office of the Auditor General, which has clearly pointed that there are many areas for improvement, and we're making changes to improve.
So the app was supposed to cost $80,000. Were red flags raised to the minister when costs hit $1 million? Yes or no?
Mr. Chair, to whose minister?
To the minister responsible for your department.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. We put in place contracts,
and for
the
clarity,
original
sir, all of my
contracts
questions have to deal with you, with your ministry that you're here on behalf of.
We put in place contracts. We were not project management. We did not have an awareness of what the overall project budget is, or all the totality of contracts.
Did you ask?
So
did you ask what the budget was?
Thank you for the question. As a department, we were focused on what are the goods and services they need, and those were the questions we were focused on providing.
So it was supposed to cost $80,000. It hit $1 million. It hit $5 million. It hit $10 million. It hit $25 million. It hit $30 million, 45, 60, at least $60 million, because the paper shredders must have been running, and there's not documents to demonstrate what the actual costs were for this thing. It's been raised, of course, that it was only 2 people working for GC Strategies, and they were pocketing this kind of money. You know, you talked about the value of them being able to build a team. You know, for the same price that just the GC Strategies portion of the Arrive scam cost, you could hire 10 public servants to work for 25 years, and instead we got these geniuses who are taking 30% of this $20 million contract and potentially $258 million more. Obviously, you said you're not going to be able to speak to the value for money. We heard that from the Auditor General. It doesn't exist in this case. How many other 2-person middlemen contractors are there that PSPC is allowing to do contracting for the Government of Canada? Just the number. How many others?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. I could not comment on the numbers of suppliers that are using, or if there are other suppliers basically running a 2-people.
Can you undertake to provide that information to the committee in writing after your appearance?
We'll take note of the question.
Will you undertake to provide the information to the committee?
To the extent that we can provide the information, for sure.
So that we're gonna,
that's an acceptable answer.
We're going to register that as a yes. Mr. Mills, can the minister, your minister, get the money back that was paid out in this crystal clear case of contracting abuse? To be very specific, money paid to GC Strategies for their work on the failed Arrive scam. Does the minister have the power to get that money back?
Thank you. Maybe I'll turn to our CFO to.
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I think normally I think if, and I can speak on behalf of our department in the situation where if our department was a party to a contract where we did not get services that were supposed to be delivered, we would absolutely have the right to go after a party to recover the funds. So
Is this an example of an opportunity for Canadians to get some of their money back from GC Strategies?
I can't speak to the particular case. I think
is that because you haven't looked, or because you're not sure?
So I'm speaking on behalf of PSPC, where we contract services for ourselves. I think in this case, in the particular case, we're talking about GC Strategies, and
we are. And let me. I've got very limited time. I got 15 seconds left. They forged the credentials that they used to win the bid. If that's not a disqualifying criteria for for someone to continue to receive work, but also if it doesn't mean that we don't get the money back because they got it under false pretenses, what does? Is forgery and fraud enough for the minister to get their money back, to get Canadians' money back? Yes or no?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. I think that is one of the questions that is being looked at, and I think when that determination is made, the appropriate authorities will be involved, as my colleague Catherine Poulin has indicated.
Thank you very much. That is your time.